Well, hello dear friends. I'm very excited to be able to say to you that the latest edition of Daphne's Diary has arrived, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So just to give you an idea, here we are looking at issue number 4 of 2023, and it's full of lovely things. So let me share with you what's inside here. As we know, the covers of these Daphne's Diaries are really beautiful for making up new journals, so I'd always save those, and I do tend to loosen my pages from the center spine so that as I need things I can pull out the various pages quite easily. Lovely colored pink stripes, I can see lots of potential for that, and also lovely bicycles like that. I was thinking the other day I should buy a bicycle. Probably would fall straight off it. I haven't been on one for years, but the thought of it just appeals to me. So these first few pages of Daphne Diaries are always just got a feast of things that you can use from various different images on the sides here that you could use alone by fussy cutting them, and then you've got lots of other little things. And don't throw away these little numbers, which you will always find very, very useful for things like tags and stuff. A nice spread on making dolls' houses. Funny enough, that was one thing that I decided when my kids were older I was going to make a doll's house, but quite honestly now I don't know that I could fiddle with something as fiddly as these, but I do really admire the work. Lovely border strips here of all sorts of lovely colors and things. Don't discard those. Those are really, really useful, especially for making things like faux tickets. Yeah, just a lovely spread of dolls' houses. Writing I often use just as a background, something a little bit different from what we normally find in book pages, so those are rather interesting. Here I would fussy cut some of these tiles out and maybe make them into interesting things. Quite a lot of sewing themes in this particular one. I'm just picking it up, some stitching here, little scissors, embroidery floss, so you could collect those if you were fussy cutting them to put into a journal. Nice paper here. You'd get quite a nice strip out of this that you could use on its own. Receipt, we don't need that. These are tear out pages to make up these little paper mobiles, but I would probably just use the strips of paper without making up the mobiles themselves. But lovely colors here, lovely sort of tranquil colors. And these are on quite nice sort of firm cardboard. Use the background areas too, where you've got all these lovely leaves, lovely little splatters. Daphne's Diary I always find has some very interesting articles, either on making and preparing food or on skincare, and this is lovely masks that you can make. But also if you are doing sort of journals to do with food or things, you've got some lovely images that would be very, very nice additions to a journal. Lovely spreads on making food, but look at the colors, look at the textures, and you can often actually just take out a section. Imagine that section as a lovely part of a little tag or a little label for something. So look at colors. Even that bit of salmon is a nice color, things that you wouldn't normally find in colors normal cardstocks. Right, lovely blossoms here that you could fussy cut. Nice fruits if you were doing something like a cooking journal perhaps. Yeah, I love the repetition that we have always in Daphne's Diary with the flowers and things like that. They always make for good repeats that you can actually use. This is pressing flowers into clay, which is a rather fun thing to do. So just imagine this in a different context. You could take some of your, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. You can take some air drying clay, and if you've pressed some flowers, press into it, but you could make little tags for your journals. And those would be rather nice and something a bit different rather than laminating them. Love the gardening tools here. I am busy putting together the pages for a gardening journal, so I can definitely see that these will be useful. And then you've also got these lovely sort of linear drawings that would be nice to include. Vanilla cream and roasted strawberry tart, delicious. I've just been to a barbecue and we had these gorgeous strawberry roulades there with just amazing puddings. So it's a perfect day here just for having a barbecue. Right, lovely baby bath and health things. And then we have lovely stickers. So you'll always find in Daphne's Diaries these lovely pages of peel-off stickers. You could use these pretty much like washi tape because they are quite long and narrow. And here would be the same sort of thing, just in paper format. And if you put some double-sided tape on there, you'd be able to get a bit more out of that design. So there's an option for you. Another one with bicycles, butterflies, lovely splotches of color here to be able to use. Lovely big numerals, perhaps, for something. You've got a 5 and a 1 here. Oh, there's a 2 and a 3. So really going to town. Look at the lovely big paper clips. That would be rather nice. So that could be something on a piece of paper that you want to attach things to. Travel things, yeah, always quite interesting where they travel to for their various shoots. This is Italy. Bug hotels, we make quite a lot of those at work. For some of you that don't know me, I work part of my week in a horticultural context, and one of the things that we teach our trainees to do is to encourage pollinators into our area, because we grow crops and flowers, and so we do have bug hotels, and they're really great fun to make. So something that we could all do, even on a smaller scale. Having a plan for your garden is a really good idea. And I love the little yellow butterflies everywhere. How joyful for spring. Lovely little pots of flowers. Look at these. Wouldn't those be lovely in a journal? Just little vignettes on their own. And that I think we could all identify with as having a lovely place to sit in the garden. Yeah. Right, this is just a treasure trove. Again, you can use these little Daphne's Diary images just to create small books for your journal. Use them as a cover, or perhaps just use them as faux stamps. I think that those are a great addition. Here's an insert with some labels. I've taken the sticky back off because, if you know me, I don't like the sticky backs which mark the pages. So take that off as soon as you get your magazine, and then that you can use for any of your projects. Lovely article of somebody that does sort of wood, well, I suppose it's cutting out of wood and a little bit of carving and painting. I had a friend in Cape Town, Anne, who really is just one of the most talented people all round. Just about anything she touches she can do really, really well, but lacking confidence. And this just was a reminder of some of the, not the same, but similar sort of talents that she has with woodwork and painting. She could do the most, excuse me, delicate scroll work, and yeah, just amazing. So this is rather fun. Somebody's got a nice, fun way of earning an income. Lovely little small images here that you could use for stamps. You could use them on tags, just a little accent, perhaps even on a little button. Also nice small images that you could use. And then I love always in these the little watercolor images that pop up, little vase of flowers, the little chickens. We've got a pile of books here, little jars. So if you start collecting them, before you know it, you'll actually have a whole selection of things that you can choose from for a journal. Cameras, walking boots, sheep. Yeah, there's a backpack, water flask, beach shoes, even your little sort of copper ladles and things like that. Rather fun. Back to nature, all the little images here. So there are always lots of nature images. Really great fun. So who wouldn't like a little caravan in a nice bright colour that you could go tra-la-la-la-la in? I certainly would. I know some of you might have what they call a she shed, where you can just dive into and just either rest or relax or create in them. But I think just a little space somewhere would be really very nice to have indeed. Especially if you could make a lovely garden. Look at this lovely old bus that's been converted. People are so clever with their ideas. Right, I love to use everything when I have things. And one of the funny things during lockdown was we weren't allowed out to the shops other than once a week. And I just thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because I had people staying with me from overseas who had come to South Africa to learn to speak English. And with the visas and things being a problem, they'd all gone back. So I'd gone to our local fruit and vegetable merchant, and I'd bought a pocket of oranges, not lemons, but oranges. And I'd peeled them, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at making marmalade. And then I was left with all these peels, and I thought, I don't want to waste them. So I made candied orange peel, and I used to eat that as a snack. And interestingly enough, I discovered from my nephew, who's a doctor of Chinese medicine, that the white part of the citrus fruit is a really, really good sort of anti-cold viral kind of thing, and I didn't know it, but instinctively I had started to eat that during lockdown, and I was one of the very few that I knew that didn't actually get COVID, so I consider myself very blessed about that. Here's some more lovely images, and a doll maker at work. I do admire them because there's a lot of work that goes into a doll like that. You've got to really have a passion and a flair for it. I had a friend in Cape Town who had a doll hospital, and she used to repair all these composite dolls, and she was absolutely meticulous in all the work that she did. So Daphne's Diary has these lovely push-out recipe cards. You'll see that they've just got a little fold, and they've I've got a double page, that's why it's not coming easy. They just bend out and you can pop them out, so if you collect those you'd have a nice selection. But again, don't throw these borders away because they're great fun for tags and things. Lovely little 3D butterflies. They've got a printed design on the other side. These also press out, so you could use these in the center of a page as a 3D decoration or as gift tags, but you can quite see how you could stack them nicely. They're not butterflies, they're little bees, huh? You could stack them to actually create a three-dimensional effect. Nettles, the bane of my life. I'm always being stung by them when I'm at work, because being on a farm, there are just loads and loads of nettles, and the minute you put your hand somewhere you think you're fine and there's a nettle. Although I must say that this year they haven't been as bad as last year. This year we seem to have had more gnats which have been stinging me. But I do make a fertilizer for the nettles and comfrey, when we just soak that in water, leave that for a week or two, and then we use that to water over our plants as a food, and it really is really great. And in South Africa I used to make my mum a nettle soup because it's got a lot of restorative properties, and she's getting old. So yes, if you can brave it, put some gloves on, pick some nettles and start cooking them. They're actually not bad at all to taste. Nettle tea, and obviously once they've been in hot water or in a pan, then the stinging properties go away. Right, what a lovely little bird. Oh, and again some more just sort of graphic designs of various fruits and butterflies that you could use. Nice little images. They could make a closure on something. They could be a little faux stamp. Yeah, you could do a lot of that things with those. Lovely mobiles. And again, more little vignettes that you could use for your journals. Obviously being spring, there's just thousands of flowers everywhere. Nice little envelope to trace around. Now if you're smart, what you'll do is get something like a piece of clear acetate and draw around that outline. Then you've got a template to make a little envelope again before you actually use this one. So there's an option for you to have a template. You do have to make sure that you're pretty accurate with the lines, so just make sure you've got a ruler when you're marking out those lines, because otherwise your whole thing will be thrown off course if it's a millimeter too big either side. Then there's always a lovely selection of cards and papers in Daphne's Diaries, and lately they've been putting their posters stuck in here, but they do come out fairly quickly. So let's have a look at this. I haven't a clue what it is. I haven't seen this yet. Almost like a Spanish lady, almost. So you've got lemons, petal dress, music box, I should say, not a Spanish lady, little music box. Not a big orange fan, but if you take away the orange, you could use the images on their own, and altogether you've got quite a lot of different materials that you can play with. Learn to draw a rose, those are really easy to do. Pots, lovely flower pots. It is really the time where you can use pots to your great advantage, and planting your own herbs and things gives you a wonderful, wonderful source of things to use. Right, this is what I wanted to show you here. Covering a little pot is what they've suggested here, but they haven't actually really explained how to do it. So they've given you the papers, but they haven't explained it. So I thought I'd just do that with you. If you have a piece of paper, you can use this as your template, and you take a plastic pot, whichever the one is that you're going to be using. Make a mark on the outside where your starting point is, like that, and make it so that it is really visible. Then if you line this up with the edge of your paper, because you're making a template now, you're going to start by, on screen, yeah. You're going to start by putting your lines down on the paper, and you're going to mark here and under this ridge. So on this side of the paper where I am, I'm marking on the underside of this ridge here, like that. And you just gently roll the pot. It gets easier as you get away from the edge of the paper, and you're going to roll this until this line that you've made is in contact with the paper again. You roll all the way around. I don't have many pots in my flat because I don't have a balcony, but I did find this one, which is not ideal, but it will give you the idea. So you're going to roll this all the way around, and you want to give yourself an overlap so that you don't have a gap where the two pieces join. So you just roll that to the edge. By now your black line should be on the paper. Yep, there's the black line that was down on the paper. So then you're just going to lightly join your lines together all the way around, and if you want it to be absolutely accurate, you could use a ruler just to measure that the distance between them is all the same. Now you've got a template which will represent that strip, and you can cut that out of your paper or even a piece of fabric and cover your pots. I have done a video on how to do this, and I will link that down in the description below, but I just wanted to show you how to do that because it isn't that easy if you haven't done it before. Alright, so here's some of the options that they've given you for paper. This is a lovely one here, lemons, flowers and butterflies, beautiful oranges, poppies, really a lovely selection. Now some books, and there's the end of the cover, and we'll look forward to the next one on the 7th of July. So there's the back cover, which has got some lovely teacups and sewing things, and I love these old wooden spools. I remember my dad taking one and knocking 4 nails in, and we used to use wool, and we make this French knitting, you know, those long tubes, and then you could make them into all sorts of things. So it was really, this evokes childhood memories. But I've got a few wooden spools of thread. This was from my grandmother, and yeah, they just have happy memories. So that's Daphne's Diary number 4 of 2023. That's the full spread of the cover, and thank you so much for joining me today. Bye for now.